Hi everyone, good evening and thank you for joining us here at our live lounge this evening. And I'm Ellie Sample, your live lounge host, and with me is Emma Jubbs. Emma, would you like to introduce yourself?
I will. Good afternoon. Welcome to our Personal Statement Live Lounge at the University of Lincoln. I'm sat on campus in Lincoln, and I'm the Assistant Director for Recruitment. So I go out to lots of schools to speak to lots of year 12s and 13s across the spectrum, really. So that's part of my job.
You are definitely our key expert on personal statements, and as Emma said, we'll be talking about personal statements today. And with us is Connor and Jordan. And so I'm going to say, Connor, would you introduce yourself first?
Hi, I'm Connor. I'm a third year history student, and I'm back in Lincoln, in my room, not on campus, but back in Lincoln.
That's great. And Jordan, hi, lovely to see you.
And you? Yeah, I am a first year medical student. I'm in Lincoln at the moment as well. I've done a foundation year, so second year in Lincoln.
That's great. And you're in your accommodation as well at the moment, aren't you? And I'm hoping that's not a towel on your chair, Jordan.
It's not. It's down.
Just proving that it really is live from Jordan's accommodation there. No, your mum will be pleased you've tied it up. So the personal statement is so important. It's the most important part of your UCAS application. It's a real challenge for most of us, both for young people and parents, in terms of what to write, what's it about, how do you approach it. And so we've got our expert Emma, who'll be giving us some information and tips. And also we can learn from the experiences of Connor and Jordan today. So I'm going to start by asking you, Emma, what is a personal statement? What should we be thinking about?
So for any year 13s or level 2 students at the moment and completing your UCAS application, the personal statement is the mandatory part of the application that everybody has to complete. So it is the piece that is really selling you to admissions tutors, really. So it's the bit that can be selective in interviews. It's the bit that really tells us about the course that you want to apply for, the past experience that you've had, and really, really about you as a person and what sort of student you will be.
So it's going to tell us a little bit about your ambitions, your skills, what you want to get out of this course and why you've chosen it. So Jordan, starting with you, what was your experience of writing a personal statement?
I found mine quite stressful. It's how the universities see you. Mine I couldn't tell you how many revisions, how many times it got altered and changed from that initial draft. But it was definitely a stressful experience. But as you go through and then look back on it, you realise that it's something that is worth it. So take the time to do it. It was definitely an experience, to say the least. It was stressful, but rewarding at the same time to think about what you're actually going to be doing, to actually think about why do I want to do this. So it is actually a very rewarding thing to think about because it really puts into perspective why you're doing what you're doing.
I think that's a really, really good point. And probably one of the reasons why you revised it so much and so many times is because there are some very strict limits on what a personal statement should consist of. So Emma, as our resident expert, can you give us an outline of what those limitations are on the personal statement?
Yeah, so really you have a section in the UCAS application which is 4,000 characters, which actually isn't a lot. And I bet if we sort of asked both Jordan and Connor, they will both have gone well over that. In their first draft. They're both nodding, so they certainly did. And that's exactly what you should do. You need to be able to write more and then really filter it out so that you are only putting in what is quality information. Because once you put it in the template of the UCAS application, then if you put the really important bit at the bottom, it will be absolutely stripped out. So you just need to be really careful of those the 40-word line count, and your word count, which I suggest lots and lots of people, as we always do when we're writing these sort of things, keep clicking on and really aiming to get to that 4,000 characters, when actually, even if you're less, that's fine.
That's very true. So first key point is 4,000 characters or 40 lines. So Connor, from your experience, what's a really good starting point for the personal statement?
From my experience, I would say it's sort of the first line. You want to make it hard-hitting why you want to study at the university, why you want to be on that course, and maybe if you've got enough time in that sentence, why you think you deserve a place on that course.
So can you tell us from your personal statement, why did you want a place on the course, and why did you feel you deserved a place on that course?
So I wrote one a few weeks ago for teacher training, and I wrote my personal statement. My first line was why I wanted to be on the course. I want to be a teacher. I want to have an impact on young people's lives, teaching history, and why I felt I deserved a place on the course is I've got past experience, I've got the enthusiasm and the dedication to push through and hopefully become a teacher. And that was my first sentence.
And Emma, as our expert, what's your view of that first sentence?
I like that. I mean, my advice is, just as I'm sure Connor did do, and I'm pretty certain Jordan did as well, is that first line, that first paragraph really needs to be hard-hitting. It needs to be impactful. Often that is the last line that you will write and the last paragraph that you write, because you will have the body of the information and then go up and really put in that really powerful sort of first line and really impact, because if it's a selecting course, that as medicine is and teaching is, then actually we need those admission tutors to really sort of say, right, this is somebody I want on my course, they're passionate.
So basically what you're saying there, Emma, is you do your first draft and you get down everything. You answer all those questions about why what you want to do, where and how, and all those good questions. But then normally that very last thing that you write should actually be your opening line, because really you get there and you're maybe describing something very special about yourself. So Jordan, was that your experience?
Yeah, mine was mostly in the first paragraph, so it was pretty much exactly what Connor has just said. Why do I want to be there? Why do I deserve a place? And for me, mine was through personal experience, like my inspiration for it. But I also tried to make a point about how I understand that medicine, sometimes things don't go right. You can't save everyone, and so I have an understanding of we're not gods, essentially. We can't always cure people. I think my first sentence was actually, people often talk about medicine and miracles in the same sentence, and then went on to talk about how there are limitations to that and that that's not always the case.
And what was your inspiration there? You talked about what inspired you to choose medicine. So if you don't mind telling us, what was your inspiration?
My primary one was my younger brother. He's 3 years younger than me. He has a heart condition. So when he was 9 weeks old, he was rushed into hospital and has been in hospitals every kind of 6 months to a year ever since. So for me, I've been around hospitals. There's a picture of me when I was 3 in scrub cap, mask, gloves beside him, things like that. And I think from there, that's where it's really come from, because I can't remember it, but I know I've wanted to since as long as I can remember.
And how do you translate that really personal, really important experience into content for your personal statement?
So with regards to limitations, so this is a condition my brother has, he can't be cured. I've seen that how doctors manage situations, and not just doctors, but the whole team, to understand it isn't just a doctor, there's a team of people supporting them, and to never kind of disregard those other people. That's a very big thing to kind of show that you understand it's a team and not that a doctor is just you're not above anyone else, you're a team essentially. So for me, it was definitely talking about there are limitations and that people work as a team together.
So you would, in that, you were showing your understanding of the profession you wanted to enter, your personal prompt for wanting to do it, and showing your passion for medicine, which Emma, would you say that's a good way to approach a personal statement?
I would. I think that's it's sort of almost textbook what Jordan is saying, really. It's sort of thinking about the reflection of what your writing about. So rather than sort of write bullet points of this happened, that happened, it's how that affected you. And that might be a personal thing, it might be sort of paid work experience, it might be voluntary work, life experience, anything, a book that you've read, it could be anything, but how that's impacted you as a person. And that's exactly how you want to go about writing that personal statement.
And I guess your first draft might be a blank piece of paper and you literally write down all the great things about you, all those things that you've done, whether you've had a part-time job, or what other things might people have done that they should perhaps include in their personal statement, Emma?
I think it is, I think 50% of your personal statement really needs to be directed to the course that you're applying to. So whether that's sort of the reason why you're choosing that course, or your past experience, past qualifications. So if you've done a BTEC, you've done an A-level, whatever sort of qualification you've done, or in Connor's case, his previous degree, obviously he's got passion for history and he's wanting to pass that information on to young people. And that all is all around the subject area. So 50% of it needs to be about the subject area and why you're choosing that as your course of study, really.
So 50% is about that. The 50% that's about you, what kind of things would you hope to see in that?
So we want to know, not about you. I think that's the key thing. This is personal statement. It's named personal because it's about you. It's not about the cool kid in sixth form that you think you should be or that we want to hear. It needs to be absolutely legitimate information about you, so that if you were called for interview, you can sort of refer to that personal statement and it's about you. We want to know if you've got any outside of school activities, so that could be sporting, musical, art, theatre, absolutely anything. There's no sort of prescription for that. It's about you. Lots of people talk about part-time jobs. Now, certainly this year, part-time jobs and work experience is going to be more tricky to be able to include, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine for that. And referring to the situation and the year we've had is equally fine. But again, as Jordan has sort of referred to, personal experience is also something that you can do. If you've read a book, then refer to that book as that sort of element of inspiration and why you like watching a film. And is it because that director inspires you, or that writing style, if you're sort of interested in film or TV or English? So all of those sort of things, there's something for everybody, but absolutely get all of those things jotted down on a bit of paper about you first while you're constructing this.
I think that's brilliant, actually, Emma, because I think a lot of people approach the personal statement thinking, oh, I've got to write about a Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, or and I've never done that. Connor, tell us a bit. You've literally just written a personal statement. So tell us a bit about your experience and whether or not you can relate to any of the things that Emma's saying.
I can relate to quite a lot of the stuff that Emma's just said. So starting on a blank piece of paper and then writing everything down, that's where I started. Because I remember when I wrote it the very first time, I just couldn't write anything. I was just staring at this blank piece of paper. But once you start listing your experiences, because almost any experience can be a valuable experience if you frame it in that way. So I took all sorts of things, jotted it down, and then from there, jotted what those experiences enabled me to do quality-wise, so what they gave me, the qualities to give me, etc. And so I started with that, and then started putting it into sort of the framework of the personal statement, went way over the 4,000 word character limit, and then had to come back to it many times to cut it down. And I think the first sentence was the most edited bit I did. I went over and over again, right up until I submitted it. So pretty much what Emma's just said, blank piece of paper, working through your past experiences and framing those qualities for what the person who's reading your personal statement wants to see.
And going back to your personal statement for your degree in history here at the University of Lincoln, Connor, what do you think it was? Is there anything that you remember putting in your statement that is the reason why you got a place here at Lincoln?
I don't obviously know the exact reason, but I like to think it's the reason why I got into history in the first place. which is, I remember my family, especially my great-grandfather, would talk about history all the time, sort of the Second World War, the Suez Canal sort of period, and that really got me interested in history. So I put that in my personal statement and explained how that got me into reading history books, and then history books makes me more and more of a nerd into history, working through the books, and that's what got my deep desire to want to go and study history at A level and then degree.
And looking back now, Connor, is there anything that you wish you hadn't included or anything you wish you'd done differently with that original personal statement?
Off the top of my head, I wish I didn't make it sound as cliche as it was. So I didn't explicitly say I wanted to do history all my life, but I guess it came across that way and it just seemed a bit cliche. And for me, I just, looking back on it, now I've written a second personal statement, I'm just not a fan of that personally.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And Emma, now is probably a good time to ask you, what are your top tips for the personal statement?
Oh, some of my top tips are use very plain English. We never quite know who's going to read this. And certainly don't refer to anything that is local to you. So if you refer to, I had work experience at X amount nursery or whatever, that means nothing to a lot of the universities, people that are reading it. So refer to things fairly vaguely, if that makes sense. That's one top tip. Use really plain English. Be really, really positive about yourself would be definitely another top tip. This is not about being negative about yourself. We really want every bit of positivity about yourself. Talk about work experience is one of the things, but again, don't be frightened if you've not had work experience. Refer to the subject. So my top tip really is, if you are applying to lots of different subjects, which is one of the really key questions that we often get asked when we do this sort of advice, is if you're applying to lots of different subject areas, then ensure that you keep it fairly generic. If you are referring only to do midwifery, you talk about midwifery. Does that make sense? Big thing that I would absolutely say is probably my biggest tip ever is get somebody else to proofread it. Somebody that's never read it before. Both Jordan and Connor are smiling at me now. So be that person, whether it's mum, dad, grandma, auntie, brother, older brother or sister. They've never seen it until you get to that final draft. And those ands, the thes, the sort of grammar, the commas that you think are there because you've looked at it so many times might not be there. So please get somebody that absolutely is new to it in the family to proofread.
That is such good advice, Emma. I think accuracy is so important in terms of making sure it's right. Jordan, tell us a bit about you. What do you wish you'd done differently? Because medicine is quite a difficult one to write a personal statement for.
Yeah, so I spoke quite a lot of different topics within mine. It's like Emma was saying, talk about books, things you've done. I think I had almost a bit of everything in mine, and don't think I kind of got enough of the quality out of it. I think I spoke about too many different things to actually really get value from them. I was still asking myself the questions of, okay, why have I included this? Why is that important? And going through that route. But I do think I really could have expanded on some of the points I'd made, or there are some points where I'd almost just put in a sentence and it felt like I'd just kind of put them in to show it instead of getting real value from it. So I think for me, it would definitely be to have that one more look, maybe using the bullet point, listing what you want, and see what has the most content for value. So the whole, like, let's say, because I did some sports teams, I spoke about how that would present some team working skills, why teams working skills relevant in general, and then within medicine, so multidisciplinary teams. So really kind of dive down into that thing to get as much value as I could. I went a bit too broad with some of mine.
I think that's really good. The thing that I feel, though, listening to Jordan and Connor, is that both of you have done so much. And I know that when I was your age, I wouldn't have had such a wide array of experiences and achievements to draw on. And I can imagine that I would have been sat there chewing my pen, not being able to think of anything to say. And Emma, I would ask what your advice would be for someone who feels like that.
And lots of people feel like that. I've been into lots of year 13 groups that have literally sort of sat there with a blank screen or a blank bit of paper with exactly that. And there'll be plenty of people watching today thinking exactly that, Ellie. You're absolutely right. Again, it's going back to listing, writing down a little mind map, a little, get some post-it notes, writing down what have you achieved. Like Jordan said, have you actually been a member of a sports team? You might not have been the captain, but you might have been a team player. You might have in year 8 or 9 had, I don't know, an attendance award. You might have thought it was absolutely nothing. It was, what that award might be not, it might not be a Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award that you're writing about, but you might have got the Bronze Award, and that might have been quite a challenge for you personally. And it's writing in your personal statement how you overcame those challenges, or how, putting out of context, if you're not a particularly confident person, that you're in a team and you overcame those challenges and overcame, that nervousness and speaking in public might not be sort of natural, but you did it, and those sort of things. So that's absolutely, I'm just looking across at one of the questions there from Rebecca. Yes, you definitely can talk, Rebecca, about year 11 teams. This is about you as a person. And if you did something amazing in year 11, then please include it. That's exactly what you should do. And so please draw back. If you've had an achievement in anything that in your life has really had impact on you, then that's what you talk about.
That's great. And MD Ashraf has asked as well about the word limit. So just to confirm, it's 47 lines, and I believe it's 80 characters per line, up to 4,000 overall. I believe that's correct. Does that sound right to you, Emma? 47 lines.
That sounds it sounds very complex and probably not what I would say, but that's the correct information, absolutely. And it definitely is about the characters, and you'll certainly know. But yeah, that's absolutely right, Ellie. Thank you.
And thinking about the mums and dads who might be watching, who are perhaps trying to help. Hi, Rebecca. That's fine. Who are perhaps trying to help their young person, potential student, try to write a personal statement. Can you give any advice to the mums and dads in terms of how to provide that support?
I think it's sometimes it's mums and dads sort of role to actually remember things, isn't it? It's sort of, exactly as a mum, exactly what really impacted you. And as a mum, actually, you know what you're proud of as a parent. And so actually go back and sort of say, do you know what, this is what you did and this is what you overcame. And remember how nervous you were when you went into that situation, but you succeeded, you challenged yourself, and that was an achievement. And that's where mums and dads can come in, definitely with the proofreading, definitely with challenging. I think as a parent, you're going to have to challenge that year 13 and really sort of say, actually, and while you're asking these questions as a parent, what you're doing is challenging, it's always a horrible thing being a mum, but you're challenging actually and challenging whether this is the course for you. So if I was Jordan's mum, bless you, luckily you're not, I'm not, I would be sort of questioning, do you understand? Are you ready for being a medicine student? And do you, and all of those sort of things. So while you're challenging that, hopefully, well, that's the reason why Jordan is on this course, she had an answer for all of these things, and then it's the right thing.
And Connor, can you tell us, how did friends and family help you with doing your most recent statement?
Friends and family, it's quite similar to what Emma just said. There's a lot of stuff that I've done in the past few years that I've completely forgotten about. which I definitely needed to put into my statement. So joining societies and that, I completely forgot about that and putting that in until one of my friends said it. So I definitely put that in the end. But just things that I completely forgot. Proofreading, I think I got about 5-6 different people to proofread my statement, and each one had missed something that the person had missed before. So it was definitely worthwhile getting as many people to proofread it as possible.
No, that's
really good. Sorry, Ellie.
No, it's a good point.
Peer groups and your friends. I think friends often see you as an individual much more positively than you do yourself. So asking your friends might be the best thing. You know, what do I put? And your friends will probably give you lots of tips about how positive a person you are. And you know, so that you're absolutely right, Connor. I'd go along with that as well.
That is so true. When I want to feel good about myself, I always talk to Emma. Something nice. So, Jordan, have you got any top tips for anyone who's about to start their personal statement?
Make sure it's an important thing. Put time into it. Also, I imagine lots of people watching are also doing their A-levels at the same time. Remember that your A-levels are still there. Don't forget about them. Put time into your personal statement, but make sure you still have a good balance, is what I'm trying to say here. Lots of people have mocks coming up to Christmas, and lots of the time you might sit and think, oh, it's just a mock. But I think last year proved those mocks can be really important for what comes in the future. So make sure you still have a life, find a really good balance. And if you're including something in your personal statement, ask yourself why you're including it, and really pretty much interrogate yourself on why you're including that specific thing over and over to make sure it's really what you want in it.
That's really good. And Danny, hi Alex, hi Wajid. Danny's asked, could I have some advice on how to structure it, please? Which I think is a really, really good question. I think that can be quite a challenge. So, Emma, do you want to start with that one? And then I'll go to you, Connor, as well, if that's okay.
Yeah, a really, really good question, Danny. And what I would suggest you do is if you email us on inquiries@lincoln.ac.uk, we can give you some tips as an email to sort of help you structure your personal statement, because we've got that at hand. So we'll definitely do that for you. But also what I would sort of say is start about your passion and your interest in the course and the subject area, and then go on to you as a person and influences around you and your life. So I would sort of start with the subject and then go to you personally. That would be my advice.
Sort of about the course, about me, what inspires me, and then a nice strong finish. So
yes, good strong conclusion, definitely.
Yeah, Connor, over to you. What advice would you give Danny?
I would stick to the advice that Emma just suggested with starting with the course.
And me, Connor.
And you, Ellie, don't worry. I would stick at the start talking about the course, because that's the sort of first thing they're reading, and that's what they're mainly interested about, the course that you're applying for. So definitely with that. And also your hobbies and about you, as Emma and you, Ellie, said. So it's just giving them a bit of information about you. So definitely include that. And then your first and last sort of few sentences, make them memorable so that they know you and why you want to study that course.
No, that's good. Wajid, you've asked us what's the difference between a motivation letter and a personal statement. And I think I'm going to ask you to email us on that one, because a motivation letter can be a whole series of different things, can't it, Emma? And it's not something we ask for.
No.
Sorry, Emma.
Yeah, no, this is personal to you, and whilst it needs to be inspiring and positive, which is motivation is, this is probably not the reasons that you should, but it's the reasons why you are positive. But again, if you want to email us at inquiries@Lincoln as well, we can sort of send you a structure that will help you devise your personal statement. That's no problem at all. So please do that.
That's really good. We've got a factual question from Colette saying, do you put in about the 4-week NCS program at the end of year 11?
Wow, yes. Absolutely. If you've done a 4-week NCS programme, there is without question so many experiences that you have undertaken during that time. You know, there's challenges, there's sort of teamwork, there's sort of being leaders, there's a whole host of things. During those 4 weeks, you will have experienced all sorts of challenges, sort of physical and sort of tiredness and sort of probably rain, sun and everything working outside. So absolutely, Colette, that is probably the basis of, and what you do is talk about what you learned and how you overcame those challenges. That you don't just put that you did a 4-week NCS program, you talk about how you overcame that. So it's about reflection.
So just to summarise then, you start with a blank sheet of paper and you ask your friends and family, what's good about me? What have I done? What should I be writing about? And mind map that down. As Danny says, think about your structure, but basically do a draft. Why do I want to do this course? What's good about me? What have I done? What inspires me? And then a nice big finish, perhaps saying why I want this university or that university, or I look forward to meeting you and discussing this interview is always my personal favourite conclusion. And that is probably quite a good summary in terms of how to think this through. Emma, I'm going to ask you if there's anything you'd add to that.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that don't name a university by name, because these will arrive. You will probably have 5 different universities that you're applying to, and we will not know where else you're applying to. So just be mindful of that. I'll have, at the University of Lincoln, we'll have no idea where else you're applying to. So just be mindful of that you're likely to be applying to 4 other universities. And really do not be scared to show your passion about a subject. If hopefully you really, really want to do this subject because you're passionate. The academics that are reading this and the admissions tutors that are reading it are absolutely desperate for students that are passionate about the course. So do not be scared to show your passion.
And if you're like me and you really can't think of anything that you've done that's been good, then start off by thinking about what you like most, what inspires you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what makes you want to do something, and start there. Jordan and Connor, I'm going to come to you both for a final top tip for anyone who's watching. I'll start with you, Jordan, sorry.
Yes, sir. I think my biggest one definitely be quality over quantity. Make sure everything you're talking about, there is some form of value in it, and don't just say, make your bullet point list and then look at which are most important. Definitely make the bullet point list of every single thing you can think of and then flesh them out and pick the best ones.
That's brilliant.
Good
Connor.
Very good one.
My final top tip will be think about what you're most proudest of. If you're the most proud of something, definitely put it in there, because that sums you up. It might link to your course, it might not, but it really sums you up as a person, so put it in there.
So I'd be writing about my dog. But I suppose that's a good place to start, is it, Emma?
It absolutely is. Absolutely is, because I think that they are both really, really key points and really, really good advice. Very good advice. But yes.
Thank you ever so much. I've really enjoyed this chat. And if anyone's got any questions, you can ring us, you can email us, you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter or any kind of social media that you can find. And please do contact us. As Emma said, we've got help sheets that we can send out to help you with this, or we'll answer any specific questions that you have or queries. So thank you from me. Emma, any final comments from you?
No, just don't be, the final comment is don't be under pressure to get to submit until you are ready and you're happy with the final comment, with the final piece of work. The application process has started, it's open, and we know you'll be desperate to get your applications in. We'll get it in when it's right and right for you. It's your personal statement, it's your university application.
Yeah, I think that's good. So we're all agreed that's how you go about writing a personal statement. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been a super evening, and you can join us for future live lounges. I will mention we've got some really exciting ones coming up. Emma's going to be talking to Wes Nelson, currently riding high in the charts, previous Love Islander. When's that again, Emma? Is that
is next Tuesday? So Tuesday, the 27th of October at 4 p.m. So please tune into that.
Yes, and Craig Bratley is going to be there for anyone who prefers a different kind of music, and we're going to be talking about how you succeed in the music industry. And after that, I know we've got Carol Ann Duffy, who I'm going to be speaking to. I think that's in December. She said, hopefully, but you'll find all of this on our listing. And we'll also be doing a live lounge with Chris Packham and talking about how to make a difference and change the planet. Well, save the world, change the planet is what we're hoping to do. And we'll be doing that with Bailey, our Students' Union campaigns and environment officer. So that will be super fun. So there's lots of really exciting live lounges coming up, and thank you, Wajid. It was really great to spend some time with you as well. So thank you for spending this evening with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you very much. Bye.